The French Revolution, which began in 1789 and lasted until 1799, was a period of radical social and political upheaval in France that had a profound impact on the course of modern history. It fundamentally transformed French society, dismantling the centuries-old monarchy, the feudal system, and the power of the Catholic Church, while paving the way for modern democratic ideals and institutions. Causes of the Revolution. Several factors contributed to the outbreak of the French Revolution. Firstly, France was plagued by severe economic problems. Years of costly wars, including involvement in the American Revolution, had drained the treasury. This was compounded by an inefficient and unjust tax system that placed a disproportionate burden on the common people, while the nobility and clergy enjoyed significant tax exemptions. Social inequality was another critical issue. French society was divided into three estates. The first estate, clergy; the second estate, nobility; and the third estate, commoners. The third estate, which comprised about 98% of the population, had little political power and faced oppressive taxation and widespread poverty. Enlightenment ideas, which emphasized reason, equality, and individual rights, further fueled discontent by challenging traditional authority and promoting the concept of popular sovereignty. The Estates General and the National Assembly. In an attempt to address the financial crisis, King Louis XVI convened the Estates General in May 1789, a representative assembly that had not met since 1614. The Estates General was divided along the lines of the three estates, each of which had one vote. This structure inherently disadvantaged the Third Estate, despite its overwhelming numerical superiority. Frustrated by their lack of influence, representatives of the Third Estate broke away and declared themselves the National Assembly on June 17, 1789, vowing to draft a new constitution. This act marked the beginning of a more direct challenge to royal authority. The National Assembly's resolve was further solidified by the Tennis Court Oath, in which members pledged not to disband until a new constitution was established. The storming of the Bastille. The revolution gained momentum on July 14, 1789, with the storming of the Bastille, a medieval fortress and prison in Paris. The Bastille was seen as a symbol of royal tyranny, and its fall to the hands of the revolutionary crowd became a powerful symbol of the people's uprising against oppression. This event is now commemorated annually as Bastille Day, a national holiday in France. The abolition of feudalism and the declaration of the rights of man and of the citizen. In the wake of the Bastille's fall, the National Assembly made several sweeping reforms. On August 4, 1789, the Assembly abolished feudal privileges, effectively dismantling the feudal system and ending the legal distinctions between the estates. Shortly thereafter, on August 26th, the Assembly adopted the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. This document, influenced by Enlightenment principles, proclaimed the equality of all men, the sovereignty of the people, and the protection of individual rights such as liberty, property, security, and resistance to oppression. The radical phase. Initially, the revolution aimed to establish a constitutional monarchy, but increasing radicalization led to the fall of the monarchy altogether. King Louis XVI and his family attempted to flee France in June 1791, but were captured and returned to Paris. This event further eroded the monarchy's credibility and led to the rise of more radical factions. In 1792, France declared war on Austria and Prussia, which were seen as threats to the revolution. The war exacerbated internal tensions and economic hardships. Amidst the growing turmoil, the National Convention, elected by universal male suffrage, proclaimed the First French Republic on September 21, 1792, abolishing the monarchy. The Reign of Terror. The revolution reached its most radical and violent phase during the Reign of Terror, from September 1793 to July 1794. Led by the Committee of Public Safety, particularly figures like Maximilien Robespierre, the government sought to eliminate perceived enemies of the revolution through mass executions and political repression. The guillotine became a symbol of this period, with thousands, including King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette, executed. The Reign of Terror aimed to defend the revolution from both internal and external threats, but it also fostered a climate of fear and suspicion. Robespierre's increasing authoritarianism and the rampant use of the guillotine eventually led to his downfall. In July 1794, he was arrested and executed, marking the end of the Reign of Terror. The Thermidorian reaction and the Directory. Following the Reign of Terror, the revolution entered a more moderate phase known as the Thermidorian reaction. The National Convention reasserted its authority, and a new government, the Directory, was established in 1795. The Directory was a 5-member committee that held executive power, but it struggled with corruption, inefficiency, and ongoing economic problems. Despite its shortcomings, the Directory managed to stabilize France to some extent and laid the groundwork for future administrative and military reforms. However, it was also marked by political instability and continued conflicts, both domestic and foreign. The rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. The final phase of the revolution saw the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte, a military leader who gained prominence through his successful campaigns in Italy and Egypt. In November 1799, Napoleon staged a coup d'état, known as the Coup of 18 Brumaire, overthrowing the Directory and establishing the consulate with himself as first consul. This effectively ended the French Revolution and set the stage for the Napoleonic era. Napoleon's rule brought many changes, including the centralization of government, the establishment of the Napoleonic Code, and the expansion of the French Empire. While he initially presented himself as a champion of revolutionary ideals, his autocratic rule and eventual crowning as emperor in 1804 marked a departure from the principles of the revolution. Conclusion? The French Revolution was a complex and multifaceted event that profoundly reshaped France and had a lasting impact on the world. It abolished the feudal system, challenged the authority of the monarchy and the church, and promoted ideas of equality, citizenship, and individual rights. Despite its violent and tumultuous nature, the revolution laid the foundations for modern democratic institutions and inspired future movements for social and political change. While the revolution ultimately gave way to Napoleon's authoritarian rule, its legacy endures in the form of the principles it championed and the dramatic transformation it brought about in French society and governance. The French Revolution remains a pivotal moment in history, illustrating both the potential for human progress and the perils of radical change.